Welcome to Uzbekistan. I've got short legs. This very narrow gap in the rock behind me has been cut by the river. It's called the Daryo Gorge, and it's the only space through these mountains for a very, very long way in either direction. As we've been approaching it, the cliffs look completely impenetrable, apart from this tiny gap in the middle. Because of this geography, the caravans coming from India to Surkhandarya definitely passed this way. At the bottom of the cliff we saw a cave, and that was used as a jail in ancient times, because those merchants on the caravans who refused to pay their taxes would have been put in the cave until they changed their minds and paid up. The Daryo Gorge is also referred to as the Iron Gates, because it was such an easy and important place to defend. This really was a stronghold, and the word iron is a reference to its strength, in the same way that we would refer to somebody as having an iron grip or having a cast iron guarantee. It's a mention of the strength of the place. It really is a physical stronghold in the mountains. We have a phrase in English, don't reinvent the wheel. And that's because sometimes old technology is really good technology and we don't need to change a thing. Here there's a water mill. It's about 400 years old, but the technology it uses is probably thousands of years old. The water comes in this channel which is taken from the river. It goes down a very, very steep drop into the building where it grinds a wheel. The water chute that we saw outside comes in just below the wheel inside. This is the hopper, and it's full of grain. The grain comes out at the bottom here, a small amount at a time. And if I lift this stick up, not only will you be able to hear me a bit better, but you can see the grain stops. So it's a way of controlling the amount of grain which falls into the stone. The stone is being driven by the water, and there's another one beneath it. So when the grain gets trapped inside, it's ground between the two stones, and what's produced is a very fine kind of flour for bread. Inside this cave there's a natural spring. There's a local legend that said it was created by a miracle. There was a holy man who came here and he struck the rock with his staff and water came forth. The water is certainly incredibly clear. In fact, it's so good that you can drink it straight from the spring, and there are pipes that take the water from the spring all the way down to the city. The shrine for the holy man in question is just across the river, so people will come, drink from the spring and then go and pray at the shrine. This place is called Kaptor Khan, and you can translate it from Uzbek as the dovecot, or the place of the pigeons. We've turned off the main road and we've come up the track, but actually it's not a track at all. It's a dried riverbed which runs through the gorge. Now the reason it's called the place of the pigeons is because until about 5 years ago there were huge numbers of pigeons, great big flocks, but unfortunately because of climate change, the riverbed, or the river itself, has dried up, leaving just the bed behind. There's no water and there's no plants, and so the pigeons have had to leave. This is one of the oldest continually inhabited places in Central Asia. On the hillside opposite me, on the other side of the valley, is Teshik Tash, which is a cave where they've excavated the remains of Neanderthals. The village itself, Machai, is also very ancient. They think that Alexander left some of his troops here when he invaded Central Asia in 329 BC, and perhaps the people who are living here are descendants of them. There are several really interesting things about Machai village though. The first is that it's populated by people who are ethnically Uzbek Kungrats. The only other population of Kungrats are in Karakalpakstan, gone completely the other side of the country. The other thing that I've learned is that quite a lot of the older men don't eat beef. And that's very unusual in Uzbekistan because normally everybody eats beef. They are Muslim, but there's a suggestion that perhaps at some point in history the people here were Buddhist, and this tradition of not eating beef has been passed on down through the generations. The people that you ask now say they don't know why they don't eat beef, but that's one possible theory. I'm standing on top of the ship, which is one of the largest and most distinctive promontories in the Kizil Canyon. Kizil means red, And if you look in the afternoon light, you can just see the reddish-orange hue to some of the rocks. They're not actually rocks though, because all of this is compressed sand. Millions of years ago, it was at the bottom of the ocean. And the shape that we can see around us is the fact that the sand has been weathered by the wind and the rain. All around the canyon is a ring of mountains, one of which is more than 4,000 metres tall. And they hide all manner of secrets. I've been told that there are dinosaur footsteps on one of the slopes. On another one, we've got incredibly deep caves, including Dark Star, which is thought to be the deepest cave system in the world.